This is the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. Bald heads, bold takes. Now, here are your hosts, Adam and Tony.
Welcome back. I'm Adam. This is the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast. We're here, Tony. We are taping this on a Wednesday. There are actual games on Thursday. Now it's the FCS games, but we have FBS games on Saturday. It is a smaller slate. We got, I think, 6 games, but it's real games. It's real games that matter, that count. Like we said, we even got a conference game. We got a game in Dublin. We even got to see if North Dakota State can win in their FBS debut. But it's here. We've been talking about it forever. It is here. So we're going to talk about these games. We're going to talk about pros coming back to the college a little bit, and then at the end here, we're going to make our picks for the college football championship. But Tony, we're here. We're here, man.
It's happened. We made it. We lasted the summer, and it seemed like forever, but now it's finally here. I'm watching some football tomorrow night. I don't know about you, and I want to bring. You mentioned North Dakota State, and I wanted to bring up another team that was not Division One. It's like West Florida. I can't find it.
Yeah.
The guy I was working with is familiar with them, and he's like, "Oh, West Florida was pretty good at the level below this." I can't remember. I don't think he said Division Two, but it was like North Dakota State type, FCS type stuff, I believe. He said that they were pretty good, so he's curious to see how they do. So us being from Florida, I'm going to watch, see if I can find that game. I think they're called Florida West or West Florida.
There's West Florida. So
okay, it must be West Florida.
I remember seeing them. I can't remember who they're playing, but I do remember to see them pop up. But yeah, I mean, tomorrow. Listen, it's nothing great, but it starts off at 6 o'clock. Maine plays Townsend. Stony Brook plays Delaware State. Mercyhurst, Youngstown State, and a whole bunch of other ones. Morehead State's playing Ohio Dominican. Listen, I know you probably haven't heard of half those schools, but it is football. Some of them are on ESPN Plus. Obviously, none of them get like the major channels, but it's real football. And it leads up into Saturday where we get some of the big teams. There it is. Southern Illinois plays West Florida tomorrow night.
Illinois, that's right. Yeah, that's a tough one to start with. Southern Illinois is not completely.
Yeah, no, they're not. Southern Illinois is favored by 21 in that game. So we got those games coming up. Before we get to those games, though, I just want to mention again our partnership with Happy Nuts. We talk about them every so often, but they've been great to us. They've been great. They give us great products, or we buy great products from them. And you can get 20% off with our code. Tony, shoot them the code real quick.
Two Bald Guys 20 will get you 20% off all that products. You and I both have a good collection growing of their products because we've tried different things, and it's just a great experience every single time, from the sprays to the creams to the powders. I mean, they have lasers. Obviously we don't have any hair, so we got to trim up some random hairs that grow here and there, and maybe on our ears or wherever. But they just have great products. So check out Happy Nuts. Two Bald Guys 20 get you 20% off. Yes, we can't thank them enough for that partnership. It's been
awesome.
It's been good. Yep.
Awesome. We got good stuff there. The not so good stuff, or the kind of controversy that happens this week, is some of the players that played college and they went to they signed with pro teams, and they weren't going to make the roster. Those teams that don't make the 54 or whatever it is, 43-man roster. Still having one of those years of eligibility, because the NCAA said they're going to do 5 for 5, basically giving everybody 5 years of eligibility now, but they have to do it in 5 years. Right. So, you can't be one of those guys like Trevor Lawrence that maybe left early, but he still would have a year of eligibility, but he's way past his 5 years. So we're not talking about those. We're talking about the ones that just went out and we're trying to come back. And they petitioned for it, and they got a restraining order, which I don't understand, because every time I hear restraining order, I think it's something bad about somebody not being able to be around another person. But
usually, yeah.
But I'm not in the lingo, the lawyer lingo. But of course, if there's going to be a controversy and some things that don't make a lot of sense in college football, guess who is around it? You guessed it, Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, it's really strange that one of those players just happened to be go to the NFL, played in a preseason game, and he's coming back to play for LSU. What are the odds of that? I guess knowing Lane Kiffin's track record, it might be kind of high, but one of the main players, and I don't know his name off the top of my head, but he's an LSU player coming back. So yeah, he went and played. He actually played in a preseason game, realized he wasn't going to make that NFL roster. So they petitioned to come back and use up their eligibility, and it seemed to be granted. But you just mentioned something before we started recording this that might not be happening.
Yeah, it's it doesn't look like so the SEC came out at first and said we don't like it, but it's within the rules, so we'll let it happen. Well, the Big Ten turned around and said no, we're not doing it. Nobody's coming to the Big Ten. We're not doing this because of the slippery slope, which we'll talk about here in a minute. So then all of a sudden the SEC is like, oh no, maybe we need to do something. So they decided just today that they're going to suspend coaches who had pros. And then I see as we started this podcast tonight, the Big 12 is doing it too. So really the only one that's missing is the ACC, which who knows? Maybe the ACC will be like, you know what? Maybe we can cash in on this a little bit and be a little bit better. I doubt it because I think that'd be a black eye towards their conference if all of a sudden they decided to let teams in. But here's the thing. Here's the bigger picture to me. And I I think this is where some people argue, well, we're paying them for college, right? We're paying them to be, they're almost becoming like pros in college. And I completely understand that. But there's still got to be that line somewhere between collegiate and pro. You may actually make less money in the pros that you were in the college, but there's got to be a line where all of a sudden you become a pro and now you can't come back to college, right? I mean, there's got to be some sort of thing. And I think that starts with if you sign or you go. Now, if you went to, I can kind of get behind if you go to a tryout and you don't sign anything and don't get paid by the pros and don't make it. I would be okay if you came back to college because we've seen, college basketball players do this. They go to the draft combine, they figure out where they go drafted, and then they figure out they're not going to get it and they come back. Don't have a problem with that. So if the NFL wanted to start doing something like that, it's a little bit different. Then I'm okay with that. Even if they went to the combine, I don't care. But I think as soon as you sign with a team, which you have to in order to go practice with them, and they have to pay you money. You're not going to go sign for a team and not get paid any money to just go practice. I think once you sign, your eligibility should be done, period.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this a little bit because my thought process was initially, if you get drafted, I think you are done. Like it's over. You've been drafted into the NFL. You're done. And I think you make a good point. If you sign a contract with an NFL team, you're done as well. I was also thinking though, like if these guys can't make an NFL team, are they really that great of players that we're afraid to bring them back? I mean, we've seen guys do really, really well at the college level and just never pan out in the NFL. But my thoughts were, okay, let's give these guys another chance. I'm trying to play both sides of this. And I played college baseball, not at the Division I level, obviously, but there was a guy that got signed by your Chicago Cubs. And I know it's a little bit different because baseball has different levels. He got signed, he got cut. And he was able to come back and play on the team that I was on, which wasn't at a Division I or Division II level because they wouldn't have allowed that. And I thought, is that the same thing? And the more I think about it, I don't think so because baseball is a completely different animal with all the minor league squads that they have. So I think I'm going to go with you on this one. If you sign a contract with an NFL team, and especially if you step foot on that field and you play against NFL level talent, I think your college days are over. I think that only makes sense. But you're right. If they have an opportunity to maybe kind of try out and see where they fit, then they can make that decision of, I better come back to college another year, get better, because I'm not ready for that level. But I'm with you on this. Once you reach that field, once you sign a contract, I think it's over.
See, I mean, and I get what you're saying a little bit. And this is the argument, too. They said, well, if they're not quite good enough to make the NFL, are they that big of a deal? Well, I mean, I'll give you an example from this year right now, and I don't know if he caught on with somewhere else, but he's already been cut. Diego Pavia. Yeah, listen, exactly. We have our doubts about how good he truly is, but he made a difference with Vanderbilt. He was a very good quarterback. He was one of the people at the end, the finalist for a Heisman Trophy. So is he good enough to play in the pros? We didn't necessarily think so. He might latch on somewhere as a if he plays really well as a backup, probably a third string.
Did the Ravens did the Ravens sign him?
Yeah, they did, but then they released him. Yeah, they released him. But he's obviously good. I mean, if he became available and he was eligible, there would be teams that would scoop him up. I mean,
college level, 100%.
yeah, the college level. I mean,
Yeah.
he's not going to go to, an Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, Oklahoma, teams like that. But like, you're telling me that if he came back, Vanderbilt wouldn't be like, yeah, we'll take you, or like, I don't want to say it, some of the lower level teams, and he would be really good for those teams. So I don't buy, and I understand what you're saying, because your first thought, well, they're not good enough to make it. But the thing is, they're not good enough to make it for one of the 30 NFL teams. And again, we fall back on there's 120 college football teams that are in Division I FBS. So they can be a difference maker. And I understand where Lane Kiffin's coming from too a little bit. He's like, well, if I don't do it, somebody else will. True. But that doesn't always mean it's right and it's the right thing to do. Like, it just blurs lines. It becomes a slippery slope, and if the NFL wants to do something, and like I'll repeat it, like the NBA does, where they have a combine. I know they have an NFL combine, but if they want to do something a little bit more for those people that are borderline and they're trying to figure out if they should come out or not, and give them a chance to do that, I'm okay with that, because now you're just kind of trying to see where your stock's at. You haven't taken any money, you haven't signed a contract, and then you come back. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. Nobody's brought it up in for college basketball, so I don't think anybody would have a problem with that in college football at all.
No, I don't have a problem with anything that has to do with helping these guys make a decision on whether they should, because that's sometimes a really, really hard decision, and that's a life-changing decision for a lot of these guys. So I have no problem giving them an opportunity to say, hey, you're going to sit down with 32 NFL team coaches or scouts or whoever, the people that evaluate talent, and you're going to run through these drills and you're going to run through this combine. Maybe we'll have a scrimmage, and we're going to see where you're at. We're going to give you a fair evaluation, and we're going to say, hey, we think you might make a team, or hey, we would love if you would enter the draft, or we will pick you up somewhere. Like, give them an opportunity to kind of give themselves an idea. Do I come back to college one more year, help out a program, maybe make some NIL money, and then see if I can get better, bigger, faster, stronger, whatever it is, and then try the draft or try the combine again, whatever it is. But I have no problems with that at all, because that's a life-changing decision that some of these guys have to make, and it doesn't work out all the time. Like you said, there's not very many NFL teams out there. And, 50 guys on a roster or whatever. It's limited space, and the talent level is so great up there. And you got to be the best of the best. And if you're not going to make even the scout team, come back and play another year of college. Try to do something different, get better. I'm all for that. But I think you're right. Once they reach the level, sign a contract, especially if they step foot on a field, sorry, you kind of messed up. That's, sorry. Keep training, keep working, go CFL, go play in Canada, and try to get better. There's other options out there right now. And I kind of feel bad for the guys that thought that they weren't going to be able to come back, but now they can't. So there is other options out there for them to keep getting
better. Yeah. I mean, there's still an option to get picked up by another team and stuff like that. But they had to understand, unless they're just completely delusional, they were kind of cheating the system a little bit, that this was a possibility that they weren't going to get to play. I mean, you say I feel bad for them. I would feel bad for the people that were on the rosters right now, a week, 2 weeks from the season, and all of a sudden this guy didn't make the NFL and he's coming down, and now – you know what? I've been here the whole time. I've been working my butt off through fall and spring, and we understand that doesn't always mean you should start. But the thing is, you should be able to play in front of the guys you're competing with all fall and spring if you're better than them, and not have some guy drop down. Like it's not even like he's transferring over from a school. Like, he's just dropping down and finding a loophole, and now all of a sudden, I'd be pissed. I would be pissed. Like, and I'm big on, you are too, that if like, you had a daughter that played, sports. I have a son that plays sports. If they're not good enough to play, they shouldn't play. Like, I hope they play some, but the best players should play, right? But if somebody comes down from a different team and all of a sudden plays, like, if, my son plays soccer right now, if kid would drop down from like a pro team down to his team and all of a sudden is playing in front of him, I'd be like, what the heck? Like, this kid hasn't been here this whole time. Yeah, he might be better than my son, but like, what are we really doing at that point? Like, what are we really treating the kids? Yeah. Sorry, this bigger, better person is coming down the line. And again, right before the season, not before the spring and the fall workouts. If you don't do your job as a quarterback and they bring in another quarterback, that's life. But they would come through spring and fall, or at least fall, if they don't come in at mid-semester or mid-year. So yeah, those are the people I would feel bad about. So I'm sure those kids are thinking, I mean, I bet you some of those kids are going to come play in front of were already like, okay, do I want to stay here? Am I, is LSU where I want to be? Because coach is already trying to find somebody different for me.
That's true. Like Lane Kiffin, it's kind of his fault on his own. He kind of just does his thing. But you're right. Like here's my starting roster. He's got to know pretty darn close to his starting roster on both offense and defense right now. You're a week away from playing a football game, basically. And you got a guy that's number one on your roster, on your depth chart, and then Lane Kiffin goes, yeah, we'll go ahead and take this guy who played in an NFL preseason game. By the way, that's going to change the depth chart a little bit. He's obviously going to start now at this position, and you that we're starting, you're going to be the backup. Yeah, I'd be going, oh, okay. So now maybe I'm a junior, and now I got to wait till my senior year and play, or do I try to transfer out real quick? Like that causes a whole big mess, and it's just so ironic that it's Lane Kiffin of all that this is going to. And he's right. Somebody else might have done it, but he could have set the tone, and then he could have came out and said, you know what? Sorry, guys, but I can't, you already played enough. I mean, he could have set the standard, and other coaches might have been like, geez, if Lane Kiffin isn't going to do this, I would look really bad if I could do this. You know what I mean? Like, he could have set the precedent.
Right, and it's not like the number one pick is coming back. It's not like, let's say next year, Arch Manning gets drafted number one, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I want to come back. And then you're like, well, if we don't grab him, somebody else is going to grab him, and they're going to make a difference. Now, these guys could make a difference. Don't get me wrong. They obviously were good enough to get a somewhat of a tryout, sign with the team. They're very good players. We just know the NFL is a different level. But none of those guys we were talking about were household names or guys that you thought, you know what, this is going to make a difference. It would have been, you're right, the easy thing to do. It's not. I forget who won the Heisman last year.
Mendoza.
Oh, Mendoza. It's not like Mendoza coming back and you're like,
yeah. Could you imagine Mendoza coming back to Indiana?
Right. We have to get him. Saying we need to get him because somebody else will do it. This would have been an easy one, and you could say whatever it is because we know sometimes when the winning is in sight, it's different. But this could have been, like you said, with Kiffin, would have been like, no, I'm good. We're good. We're not going to do this.
Yeah.
I don't like this. But, as much as Kiffin, even though this isn't working out for him, I thought and I'm just going to go, and this can be the last thing we say about him, but I thought he really was rehabbing his image at Ole Miss. He maybe ate some humble pie and did it. Well, success is the enemy. And it's the enemy to Lane Kiffin because now he thinks I didn't mind Lane, at Ole Miss, and even when he was at FAU and stuff, I thought he was trying to do things right. But now that he's done this, I'm not putting him on, the old coach for LSU, but he's close. So I really don't. I hope LSU doesn't win this year.
Yeah, I think you made a good point. Lane Kiffin had kind of rebuilt his name a little bit at Ole Miss. Going to Ole Miss, which wasn't typically a dominant program, he stayed there for several years. He built a really, really good football team. And you're thinking, okay, Ole Miss is going to be good for quite some time because Lane Kiffin, he's going to stay there. Why would he leave? He's built a good program there. And next thing you know, Lane Kiffin does Lane Kiffin things, and he goes to LSU, and now he's trying to pull NFL guys back or accepting them back. And correct, it was, I guess, technically at the time, it was okay, but because it's Lane Kiffin, because of his issues with USC and then Tennessee, then at Bama, I don't even want to throw my Raiders out there, but I'm going to throw my Raiders out. I mean, this guy has been all over the place doing all sorts of different things. And just when you think he's got his stuff together, he pulls the LSU stuff and leaves Ole Miss hanging. And then, boom, this comes back. So Lane Kiffin, good football coach, but, man, sometimes his decisions baffle me.
Yeah. So we'll see how he does with LSU, and we can talk about some of the picks that ESPN did, which just doesn't make any sense. We'll do that in a little bit. But you know what? Before we get into we can argue a little bit here, but before we get into any more arguing or anything like that, let's get into the actual games of teams we really kind of follow a little bit. So let's go to Saturday. You know what? There's 2, 4, 6. Oh, I thought there's 8 games. So we'll pick all 8 games here. Let's and caution this. We don't know much about a couple of these teams. We do follow some of these teams, but we'll talk about all of them since there's only 8 games. So we'll start out with, like you said, the one conference game that makes no sense whatsoever. The Sacramento State Hornets, I think, playing the Eastern Michigan Eagles at Eastern Michigan. Yes, you heard me right. We talked about it, I think, last week, maybe the week before. This is a conference game. Sacramento State is in the MAC because Northern Illinois decided to join some conference out west. And I forget if it's the Big West or the Mountain West. I think it's the Big West or Mountain West. So they went out that way. Makes sense, right? Illinois goes out to the Mountain West. Sacramento State joins the Mid-American Conference. Eastern Michigan is favored by 10. Listen, they play on the gray field. It's turf gray. They're both green. Apparently, they're, like I said, they're both in the same conference.
You're pretty good with mascots. What do you know about the mascot?
Yeah, that's what I say. The Eagles for Eastern Michigan, and it's the Hornets for Sacramento State. So yeah, I can. The FBS schools. I can do all the mascots. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those useless things. Like if there was a Jeopardy category that was like name FBS mascots, well, I'm going to win that category. Ask me about World War II. I can do a little bit, but I'm not winning that one. So, anyways, Eastern Michigan, Sacramento State. Listen, I don't know much about either one of these teams, but I'm going to go with the home team. I'm going to go Eastern Michigan wins this game. The line is 10. That's a big line, first game of the year. I say it's a little bit closer than that, but Eastern Michigan wins.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the line is a little much, and the total is 54.5. I think this goes over.
Okay.
I don't know a lot about these teams, but I think both teams can. I think both teams can get to that 30 mark-ish. So 28, 35, something like that. I think this goes over. But you're right. 10's a lot. I think it's closer to 7. Eastern Michigan wins.
All right. We'll go to one that's not interesting. Hawaii and Stanford. Listen, I've been to Hawaii twice. I love their colors, their logo. I got a couple Hawaii shirts when I went out there. If that was closer, it would have been a cool school to go to. Stanford has struggled. They have a new coach. I can't remember who took over after Frank Reich was the interim coach for a year. It didn't make any sense to me. Andrew Luck is the GM there because, teams have GMs. Hawaii usually chucks it around. Stanford's a 4-point favorite. Over under is 48.5. I think there's going to be a ton of points scored in this game. I could see it being in the 40s by halftime. Not a team with 40, like the over total points being, like 21-21 or something like that. I'm going to say Hawaii comes to town and plays. They've been better. They come to town. They beat Stanford, get a bit of the upset, but go with the over on the 48.5.
I'm going to jump all over that because I like the over as well. I like Hawaii as well. I think you're right. There's going to be points scored. Stanford, remember when they were good?
Yeah.
It's been a long time, but they used to be pretty good, but they have fallen off hard. Hawaii wins, and like you said, that over maybe by halftime, if not third quarter for sure, it's going to go over that 48.
All right, I know I'm jumping around here, but let's go to the night game because one of the other ones is pretty interesting. That's not a major team. Memphis at UNLV. I said this. Dan Mullins is at UNLV. Last year they were my pick to kind of surprise. They did surprise for the most part, but they couldn't get by Boise State. Well, guess what? Boise State's no longer in the conference. They joined the Pac-12, which is every school that has state after their name. But UNLV, Memphis, they try and look like the Bengals, the Cincinnati Bengals with the helmets and stuff. UNLV is, they're going to score some points. The over-under, it's even a bigger number. It's 56.5. Memphis can score some points too. Listen, if they have the same over-under at 48.5, I would take it. The 56.5 is a lot, but it's going to be close. I wouldn't touch the over-under on that, but I do like UNLV to win this game. They're my pick to be the mid-major team that gets into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, this game is secretly not going to be that bad for people that don't watch these other teams. Memphis can play some football. UNLV obviously has had some success recently. I like your pick for UNLV to make the playoff. I don't think they weren't my pick, obviously, but I could see UNLV making that run. This game is going to be close. It's going to be a fun one. I would take the under, but I agree with you. Stay away from that over-under because it's 56.5 is a lot. I'm going to go with UNLV as well to win this game. And at 4.5, I think they cover. I think they win by a touchdown. But this one's going to be a fun one to watch. It's 10 o'clock. That's my bedtime. So tell me how it turns out.
It is past your bedtime, so you're going to be long gone before that game starts. Sleeping, that is, not anything else. All right. So let's move on to the last game that doesn't have a Power 4 team in it, and it's actually, I think, could be one of the better games of the weekend. Is Jacksonville State, North Dakota State. We talked about this. North Dakota State jumped up to FBS. There was some debate about if they should or not because they have dominated FCS, like dominated. But I guess you get to a point where it's like we've dominated for so long. Do we want to keep doing that, or do we want to challenge ourselves? They challenged us. Jacksonville State last year, I think they lost in the American. It was at the American Sun Belt. I think they're in the Sun Belt Championship, or I think they're right there. They actually surprised some teams. They were pretty good last year too. So listen, I think this game is going to be good. The over-under is 46.5. It'll be interesting. Jacksonville State scored points last year. North Dakota State can obviously score points. This is kind of a good game for them to get started with. It's going to challenge them. It's at the Fargo Dome, which is awesome. That place, I've never been there. That would be a cool place. I guarantee that place is loud.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy.
It's going to be crazy. They're going to be excited there. I know they're going to want to show that they belong. And if this was at Jacksonville State, I would take the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State. Instead, I'm going to take the Bison of North Dakota State at home. FBS opener for them. They are a 7-point favorite. I think this game's close. They might win by more than 7 just because that's that touchdown where they might score late. But North Dakota State wins at home. The Bison take down the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one too for the same reasons. North Dakota State was so good for so long at the FCS level, just dominating teams. So making this move makes sense. Can they compete consistently with these teams? And I'm looking at their schedule, and I think they're gonna do okay, but they're gonna run into a couple teams like your UNLV team, and maybe even a Northern Illinois team that's not too bad, and Nevada sometimes can be tricky. But for this game, North Dakota State at home, that's going to be a crazy place to be, and it's still not really that cold up there yet. So go get up there, tailgate in the parking lot, because in about 2 months you can't even stand to be in the parking lot anymore up there. So
absolutely.
The Bison are going to win this game. They're going to, I think that 7 is really close. I'd stay away from that. And the total, again, 46.5, stay away from that as well. Just pick the Bison to win outright.
Yeah, I'm going with that. So, all right. Now we got to the games that have the Power 4 schools. So, again, we're going to skip around a little bit just because I want to talk about some of these ones. Let's start in our state. 7 o'clock, New Mexico State travels to Florida State. Remember last year, Florida State had a great open to the season. They upset Alabama at home, and then the season just kind of went down the crapper after that. So, it's going to be, listen, they're 30.5-point favorite. They should not have a problem against New Mexico State. We won't know a lot about them until I think the next week they play Alabama. That's when we're going to learn a little bit more about them. The Florida State fans that I know are torn right now. Because they want their team to win and be good, but they hate their coach. So they kind of want them to lose so they can fire their coach. It's that in between. I was kind of there too. I wanted Michigan to be good last year, but then we talked about this in the middle of the year. I was like, I want Sharon Moore gone, and I got lucky. I don't say I got lucky. I hate what happened because of what happened, but he's gone. So, Florida State is going to win easily over New Mexico State.
I think Florida State fans can pause the brakes a little bit, not get so excited about Mike Norvell being around, because if you look at their schedule, New Mexico State is the first win they're going to get this year. They're going to dominate. They're going to look okay. But then they got to deal with SMU and Alabama. And then they get his break with Central Arkansas. But then they might lose like the next 4 or 5 games in a row. Like I don't know if I see more than 5 wins on this schedule. So Mike Norvell, I think it's just a matter of time. When does it happen? Does it happen in week 4 or 5? Like, do they wait till he loses to Miami? Like, I mean, when is it going to happen? So, Florida State fan, you're going to get a win week 1. It's going to look fun. It's going to be pretty, but it's going to be bad this year for you. So, take your losses. That however many games Mike Norvell's going to be there, but it's going to be rough for you this season, Florida State. But you're going to get that week 1.
Yeah, get that win week 1. It's a good start for them. Let's move out west. Your old coach from Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley's at USC. They open up against San Jose State. They are 39.5-point favorites. This is the year right now. I don't think anybody's predicting USC to be a national championship, but they definitely think they're a playoff contender. So is this make it or break it for Lincoln Riley this year? I'll just ask that question before we get into the game. Do you think Lincoln needs a win this year, or he's either out or will leave USC?
He has to do one of 2 things, maybe both. I think he needs to either A, play for a Big Ten championship, Not necessarily win it, but they need to be in that game and or make the playoffs. I think that one of those two things must happen for him to have a chance. If they lose 3 or 4 games and they don't look good in those losses, and depending on who they lose to, like if they lose to Oregon but it's close, okay. If they lose to Ohio State but it's close, they were competitive, okay. But this year, Lincoln Riley needs to either play for a Big Ten title or make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, I think he's safe. Now, they have the offense to do it. They have the quarterback to do it. He's probably going to be running for the Heisman when he stays healthy. It's all about that defense. It always has been with Lincoln Riley. So, to answer your question, it is a make or break because I think he's got 2 options to keep his job. I think someone else will pick him up, but at USC, you got to make the playoffs all day.
Yeah, I think there's 2 guys that really, really had the heat on him this year. There's 3, major conferences. I think Lincoln Riley at USC. I think now, and this is good. I mean, Sarkisian at at Texas. Now they're going to be good, and we'll talk about them later. And then I think Kellen DeBoer at Alabama. In his 3rd year, they're not used to losing, and he hasn't. They haven't been great under him yet. So. I think those are the 3 coaches that they need to win. I mean, you're at big time schools, you need to win, and you need to win now. So, we'll see. We'll see how they do. It's going to be interesting. I think USC wins this game early. I don't know if I would touch the 40, but 39.5, so basically 40. I think though that they're going to be out to prove point. They want to show that they are good. So I think they win this game easily, but we won't really know much about USC. I look at their schedule real quick here for a little bit because they play Fresno State and Louisiana, and they start with Rutgers. So we won't find out about them until September 26th when they host Oregon, and the next week they host Washington, and then they go to Penn State. Oh, my good God. Their schedule, I just now noticed this. This is their schedule. Now, somebody didn't say this is one of the tougher schedules. I don't know what's wrong. Home against Oregon, home against Washington, back-to-back weeks. The very next week, they go to Penn State. They do have a bye. Then they go to Wisconsin, which I know Wisconsin's not supposed to be great, but they're still tough. Home against Ohio State, at Indiana. That is their 6-game stretch. That might be, without really looking at other ones, that might be the toughest group of great games of anybody, and you can't tell me there's an SEC team that's playing a tougher 6-game stretch than that.
Yeah, because you have your game that you're banking on you're going to win is Wisconsin, right? And then your next easiest game is either Penn State or Washington. Think about that. Right?
Yeah,
Penn State with new coach, okay, maybe they're down a little bit, but then you got Washington with that quarterback Desmond something or other. He's back. He can be really good. But Indiana, Oregon, and Ohio State, rough. That's a rough stretch. Lincoln Riley needs to win one of those 3 games. If they lose all 3 of those games, trouble.
Yeah, and you look at it too, and like you said, their easiest game is supposed to be the Wisconsin game, which it is of what we see right now on paper right now, and it's on the road. Yeah. It's on the road at Wisconsin, and again, Wisconsin a little bit different now, but that's your easiest game on the road at Wisconsin. I could think of other places I'd rather play for my easy game. So USC better be 4-0 going into that Oregon game, and they should be. They play San Jose State, Fresno State, Louisiana, and Rutgers. So if they struggle in any of those 4 games, it could be a very long season for USC. I didn't realize their schedule was that ridiculous. Wow.
Yeah, they have to come out strong. Now they're gonna win. I don't think there's any problems with them winning the first 4 games. They're gonna beat San Jose. Do they beat them by 40? They absolutely can. The over/under is 60.5. Boy, I don't know because USC can score 45 points. San Jose scores 10, and then that just could be it right there. I mean, I would not mess with that over/under, and I probably wouldn't mess with that spread. But take USC if you want easy money. Put like a 10-team parlay together, mix in some Thursday night games with some guarantees. That $10
exactly.
Win 15.
Exactly. All right, let's go to the other conference game that we see, NC State at Virginia. It makes it look like it's an ACC game. Virginia was a surprise team last year, making it all the way to the conference championship game where they had their chance to make the playoff. All they had to do was win, and they choked against Duke and lost. They were surprised last year. They're a 4-point favorite at home. Honestly, I don't know a lot about either one of these teams, but so I'm just going to lean towards the home team in this one. The over-under is 52.5. I would probably go under on that one. But I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what they're returning. I haven't really looked into these teams enough to know. But I'm going to go with the home team, Virginia.
So on my way to work one day, I worked a little bit later.
Yeah. So and then there we go. Yeah. You're back. Go.
Yeah, you were probably already at work, but I was listening to a radio show driving into work. It's about a 12-minute drive, and they talked a lot about ACC schools, and they mentioned Virginia, and they said Virginia because I'm like you, I don't really know a ton about Virginia, how much they got coming back, but the guy was very, very adamant. He's an ACC journalist. That's what he does. He follows those schools. He says that Virginia's going to win 10 games again this year. He goes, they're just as good, maybe a little bit better than last year. He also said, watch out, North Carolina State could be a sleeper. Now, we've heard that for several years about North Carolina State, and they just don't seem to put it together. So while this game could be good, Virginia's going to win this game. And I'm just basically going off what somebody who knows a lot more about ACC football than I do says Virginia's going to be really good again this year. Watch out for them. He believes it's them in Miami in that ACC.
Yeah. All right, and then the big game, and I don't know if it's going to be the best game of the weekend, but the big game of the weekend is in Dublin, North Carolina, the second year of Bill Belichick with the Tar Heels, taking on TCU. They played last year. North Carolina looked really, really good for the first possession.
Yeah.
And then it was
awful.
Over.
Awful.
It was over after that. TCU dominated the rest of the way, got the easy win, and then things spiraled for North Carolina, and TCU ended up not being great. TCU is a 9.5-point favorite. Listen, TCU obviously had that great year a few years ago, and then they've been okay since. A lot of people were hoping for a lot from North Carolina. I'm very interested to see how good they are this year if Bill Belichick, corrects some things, figured out the college game a little bit more. I think that North Carolina looks much better this year. I think they keep it close. I'll still go with TCU just because I trust them more right now. But I think North Carolina stays within 10.
I'm with you. I want to see Bill Belichick and how he's improving because year one was not great, but we're going to give him a pass on year one, recruiting, like all this stuff different in college. So I want to see what he can do in year two and maybe even year three. TCU is not the same program they were 5 years ago, but they're still going to win this football game. But I'm with you. I think North Carolina shows improvement. Don't be surprised if North Carolina pulls out a victory here. Remember, TCU's quarterback transferred to Indiana. So they're breaking a new quarterback there. So TCU probably gets the win. I don't think they cover the 9.5. I don't know. I would mess with that over under 46.5. Who knows? This game could be 35-30. It could be 17-10. It could literally go both ways. So North Carolina could pull it out, but I think TCU wins this one.
Yeah, I think they do too. So that's the first week of the major games going on. Listen, I know, like you said, they're not necessarily the best games, but they are games. We're excited. We're going to be watching, as much as my wife lets me watch football on Saturday. And you get to, if you're into that sort of thing, you get to do your parlays bets on real college football coming up. It's always tough the first couple weeks because you just don't know how good those teams are going to be. But listen, it's here. We're here. And now we get to make our kiss of death championship picks for this year. We talked about our playoff teams, a couple weeks ago, if not last week. We were pretty close to the same. But Tony, you know what? I'm going to start with you. Give me one team that's going to be in the championship game this year.
I think this one team is, for me, it should be a no-brainer. It should be Miami. There's no reason Miami. I think Miami is upgraded at quarterback. I think their defense is maybe downgraded just a little bit, but that defense was really good last year. They have running backs. They have better wide receivers this year. The offense is going to be much better with just a good defense. Miami. Give me Miami as an easy one.
Oh, wow. Listen, they made it to the championship game last year, lost to Indiana, but they didn't get to the ACC, that ceiling. They can't win the ACC yet. I picked Miami to win the ACC, but I do not think they make the conference championship because the team that is pissed off at them is going to make it instead. Notre Dame, I hate to say it. I think they're loaded. I think CJ Carr is really, really good. Here's the other thing, too. You can complain all you want. Their schedule is soft. we can talk about which conference is better, the Big Ten and the SEC, but going through that conference is tough. So they don't have to deal with that. So, they got a little bit easier schedule to go through. I think that would benefit Texas Tech too, but I just don't think Texas Tech is going to be good enough. But Notre Dame is my team, my one team in there. So who do you have playing Miami in the championship?
This one's a little tougher because I just don't think Indiana has enough coming back. Losing Mendoza hurts. That's one of my teams that I think could make a little bit of a run. And I know you're not going to like this pick, but I think Ohio State can get there. I think they do have enough. Their quarterback is back, and he's better than Will Howard, and somehow Will Howard won a national title. Jeremiah Smith, is he still out there running around? If he is, I think he is.
Yes.
He's tough to deal with, and they're loaded. Ryan Day will get out coached, but at some point, but I think he's got enough talent. Like, look at all the guys that were drafted off last year's team, and they just keep reloading. So I know you don't like it, but I think Ohio State.
Yeah, I don't like that pick. Now, can Ohio State make it? 100%. Yeah. They can. They are good. They are good. I hate to say it. I don't want to say it, but they are really, really good. So I hate that pick, but I don't hate that pick. Like, I get it. I get where you're coming from on that pick.
Are you going to do what I think you're going to do?
I'm not picking Ohio State. You picked my rival. Guess what? I'm picking your rival. And then listen, and for those of you guys listening, neither one of us talked about this. We talked about we were going to do it. We didn't know each other's picks.
No.
So I'm going Texas. But let's be honest. Last year I said Penn State was going to win it, and that was a kiss of death. They fell apart. So maybe you want me to pick Texas, and maybe I want you to pick Ohio State. So maybe we're just doing a little reverse psychology on each other here. So, but I'm going. Listen, I'm just going to go with who I think has overall the most talent and ways to get there. Now I know they're going to be like, well, Ohio State has the most talent. You know what? I don't even know if they have the most talent in the Big Ten. Ohio State is very, very good, but I think Oregon has more talent than Ohio State does this year. So, but we're starting to split hairs with how good these teams are. So, like, that's not as much as I hate Ohio State. I'm not trying to disrespect them. I just think that Texas, I trust Arch Manning the way he played at the end of last year way more than I trust Julian Sand. I trust C.J. Carr because he's done it at Notre Dame way more than I trust Mensa at Duke. I'm sorry, he was at Duke and now at Miami. That what he'll do at Miami, he could be great, But at the same time, Ohio State won the national championship in spite of Will Howard. So, because I'm watching some of those games, and the way he's playing with the Steelers right now. I mean, Drew Aller's outplaying him, for goodness sake. Like, Will Howard did not win that national championship. He did good enough. He did plenty good enough. Congratulations. He has something I don't have, a national championship. But Ohio State did not win that because of Will Howard, and they could do the same thing with Julian Sand. So Ohio State is very good, and they have the chance to be there. But I'm going Texas, Notre Dame, and I know you're going to hate me. I think Texas finds a way. Arch Manning really puts it together this year. Texas wins the national championship. You have Ohio State and Miami. You're going back to, what was it, 2002, 3?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there.
02 revenge game.
02 revenge tour, 24, 5 years in the quarter of a century later in the making. Do you have Miami beating Ohio State and getting that elusive national championship for the last 20 years?
I absolutely do. I think they proved it last year when they really dominated Ohio State. I don't hate your Notre Dame pick. I hate your Texas pick, but I can't argue it. I just don't trust Steve Sarkisian. I would, if you asked me who my third team would be, Notre Dame would be my third team because you're right. C.J. Carr is now a year better. Losing Jeremiah Love hurts, but I think they have other guys out there. That team's really loaded. Marcus Freeman is a fantastic football coach, fantastic person. So they have all the talent. They have all the coaching. I don't trust Sark. I don't trust Ryan Day, but I trust Miami's talent. Miami's going to beat Ohio State. I don't think it's going to be that close. I think Miami can shut down Ohio State again. I think Ryan Day gets outcoached once again.
Well, Miami did shut down Ohio State last year and upset them in the playoffs, and that made my heart happy. So, do I want Miami and Ohio State in the national championship? I don't. But if they do, I want Miami to win that game. It was the same when Notre Dame played Ohio State, a couple years ago. I don't like to root for Notre Dame, and you wouldn't think so because I just picked them to make the national championship game. But I rooted for Notre Dame over Ohio State. Anybody but Ohio State, like really, truly anybody but Ohio State. And you're probably the same way with Texas. So, you know what? We're just kind of not making each other happy right now.
Yeah, but we can't really argue with our picks. Yeah, our hearts are upset, but our brains are gone. You know what? Texas is loaded. Notre Dame is loaded. Right? All these four teams could be right at the end. I mean, you might watch the Final Four could be these four teams. Very, very well. It depends on how the bracket comes out, obviously. We'll know much later. But all four of these teams can win the national title. Oregon can win the national title. I mean, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, what goes on and how many Big Ten teams and how many SEC teams, make it. But yeah, all these teams could win it. I think it's obvious. They're all really, really good. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like I said, Notre Dame's schedule, they do have Miami, but besides that, it's not the hardest of schedules, But it's coming up. Listen, we got some good games coming up in a couple weeks. We got games this weekend. So what are we saying? The NFL is wrapping up the preseason, trying to not make sure people don't get hurt any more than they already are.
Oh boy.
But yeah, like we're 2 weeks from a full slate, and we're a couple days from some games. So teams in Dublin, teams other places. So let's get after it. I'm super excited. I know you are too.
Yeah, I mean, my wife's already starting to get a little aggravated just bringing it up, but they understand Saturdays, Sundays are a little more laid back, but Saturdays, college football. I get up, I go to the gym, I do something around the house to make the wife happy, and then I sit down and I watch football. That is it. Barring any family things going on, which doesn't really happen this time of year, it's college football. And then on Sundays, if my Raiders aren't playing, it's NFL Red Zone. We're bouncing around, following our fantasy team. So, I prepared my wife a little bit, but she knows it's coming. She's going to be upset.
Yeah.
She's going to be mad regardless, but she knows it's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're excited. It's coming. We're here. You know what? Next week we'll have a full rundown of the teams, and then we're going to tease it. We will give our Super Bowl picks for the NFL. So we talked mostly pretty much all college football today. So we'll come back next week, take our picks for week 1. Our teams will be playing. We're excited. We'll make our Super Bowl picks, and then we'll even sound stupid doing that too. But we'll come back and do all that. Until next time, I'm Adam.
I'm Tony. Thanks for listening.
You have been listening to the Two Bald Guys Sports Podcast with Adam and Tony. Don't forget to check out our partnership with Happy Nuts.